Okay, at this time, we will be celebrating the Woman of Distinction in the Tenure Track Faculty category. And I'd like to invite Peter Chilson, the Lewis E. and Stella G. Buchanan Distinguished Professor in the English Department in the College of Arts and Sciences, who also happens to be an author, to join me here.
Thank you. Um, I'm, I'm here to talk about Debbie Lee. I've known Debbie for 26 years. We were both hired at Washington State University in 1998. I came to set up a creative writing program, and Debbie came on as a scholar of romantic literature to become one of the preeminent people in her field in the country. In those early days, like in many university English departments, things were a little divided. Rhetoric and composition was over here, and literature was over there, and creative writing was on some distant island. I liken it to I use a Cold War metaphor for it. We only met to exchange prisoners in the middle of some snowy bridge. I didn't talk to Debbie much, not until 2002, when I joined a local creative writing workshop, which oddly was founded by a literature professor, Debbie Lee. I've learned a lot from Debbie about collaboration. Collaboration is not easy. And Debbie, of course, had been deep into it long before she came to WSU. She'd been teaching the fine arts and creative writing for years at community colleges and in high school. She was a drama teacher and director at Richland High School. She taught at Yakima Community College. Building collaboration is just what Debbie is all about. And that's the thing about Debbie is that no experiment, no collaboration is too wild. If you take a class from Debbie Lee on the British poet and artist William Blake, you better be ready to make your own art and write your own poetry using Blake's techniques. Debbie helped build the WSU creative writing program by teaching new courses in the memoir and environmental writing, redesigning our visiting writer series, which she ran for a decade, building into it a student writing workshop taught by prominent guest writers. It's still going strong now. Today, Debbie is one of WSU's most distinguished scholars and teachers, author of 9 books, some 70 scholarly articles, personal essays, and poems. Her work has won 30 awards and honors. She is affiliate faculty in the program in Women's Gender Sexuality Studies, the Honors College, and the Center for Environmental Research and Education and Outreach. The list displays Debbie's collaborative spirit and drive to keep scholarship and art in motion. One of Debbie's early books, Romantic Liars, explores the lives of women who disrupted British empire building. I just love that. In 2013, she earned a Master's of Fine Arts degree to add to her PhD in literature in creative writing. That led her to her 2020 memoir, Remote, Finding Home in the Bitterroots, which explores the centrality of women in wildland protection, including the wilderness ranger, Connie Saylor, a dear friend of Debbie's who vanished in Idaho's Bitterroot Mountains in 2018. She was never seen again. Debbie is a fellow of the National Endowment for the Humanities and the renowned Black Earth Institute. As a writer, teacher, editor, public intellectual, program developer, leader, and mentor, she has influenced thousands of young scholars, writers, wilderness preservationists, policymakers, and her colleagues here at WSU across a career spanning 40 years, 26 of them on this campus. It's telling that Debbie's letter writers for this award came from scientists, artists, and humanities scholars. In 2008, Debbie secured a $250,000 NEH grant to set up the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness History Project. She did this in collaboration with the University of Idaho and the U.S. Forest Service. It is the first NEH grant ever given for natural history. As Dennis Baird, University of Idaho environmental historian, wrote, Debbie's work led her around the West and involved gaining the trust of dozens of people with the knowledge of this wilderness. That's the end of that quote. Debbie's spirit is also evident in how she approached a devastating cancer diagnosis in 2021. Over 6 months, through 2 surgeries, Debbie continued teaching and writing, doing her job at the University Ombuds office. And after a 3rd surgery, she entered chemotherapy. And only then did she take off time off on a 6-month medical leave. And I'm so happy that she's here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I want to also thank the President's Commission for the Status of Women, Erica Crespi, and all of the people who worked in making this ceremony and reading applications. The other amazing recipients here, some of whom are my friends like Kim and Julie, and my nominator and colleague and friend Peter Chilson himself, who is so accomplished himself. I also want to acknowledge that my dad, my brother, and my husband are here, and my daughter is watching from Vancouver, BC. I have been, like Peter said, at WSU for 26 years, and I can't think of a more inspiring environment to train students, especially women students. My women students have become teachers, lawyers, literary agents, activists, park rangers, editors, business owners, writers, actors, and journalists. And many of them have become mothers, and I will add, become mothers of daughters. And it's this calling of mothers and daughters that I want to pause on today, because lately I've been thinking a lot about women and genealogy. I wouldn't be here today at WSU without my grandmother's and my mother's influences, how they loved to read, how they loved to write, how they loved to teach, how they reached beyond themselves to improve the lives of others. Exactly 1 year ago, this Saturday, I lost my mother to ovarian cancer. At her funeral, I witnessed the hundreds of lives that she had touched through the many volunteer organizations that she served in the Spokane area, from teaching little kids how to ski at free ski school, to making quilts for homeless youth on the streets of Spokane, to serving meals to veterans. I had the privilege to sit with her by her side in her last moments. And it was a reckoning for me because 1 year earlier, as Peter mentioned, I had been diagnosed with aggressive cancer and was told I would not live through the year. My mother and I, in fact, were treated by the same oncologist at the same time. My mother's cancer could not be cured, but mine was, at least for now. Cancer is terrible, but it also has its gifts. When you peek over the edge of your own mortality, you see things in a radically different way. Whereas before I had been focused on my career and my next vacation and unfocused on many other things, now I know that it is relationships, relations with family, friends, students, colleagues, strangers, and the natural world that are really the only things that you can take with you to the other side. And it's in that web of human and natural relationships that I'm thankful for the lives and influences of women. Just before my mother left this earth, my daughter had a daughter. So I am a new grandmother. And my granddaughter's name is Tiger. And everybody who sees Tiger remarks on how much Tiger looks like my mother. And I agree. I see glimmers of my mother in Tiger in the way that they laugh and in the way that they just have these huge open hearts. During some of the most brutal days of my cancer treatment, I could do only two things: talk to my mother on the phone. She was going through her own treatment at the time, and write poems about the lineages of women and the natural world. And I'm just going to end by reading one of these small poems. It's set on the shore of Lake Michigan in February 2022. And it's called Outside Zion, and Zion is a little town right on the shore of Lake Michigan. I walk a rise, dig palms of gold from stiff dirt, slide on sand pond next to a great lake. My daughter's belly blossoms and the ice thickens. Far below, pockets hollow as bird bones swell. I will have a normal lifespan after all, or I won't. Mama Michigan's waves freeze in motion and time outside Zion. Outside my window, icicles grow from the barren branches of a lilac. A quarrel of sparrows in the boxwood, the hole punched through my back where the tube goes in. I will eat brown bread around a campfire with my daughter, her daughter, while my avian companions survive winter on seeds hidden under the snow. Thank you.
As we close this evening, and thank you everyone for being so patient as we've gone a little bit over time here, I do want to thank all of the people that supported this activity, including Erica Crespi and Susan Horde, who were our co-chairs, the subcommittee, Dawn Freeman, Louis James, Jessica Perrone, Nanette Thrush, Caitlin Estel, Leah, I already said Season, Aisha Ahmed, and Grace Curtis. And then also those people that took the time to very, very carefully do the difficult work of reviewing and awarding these, reviewing the nominations and awarding. That's Danielle Dosemeyer, Dawn Freeman, Emily Cuquier, Aria Kirkendall, Jessica Perrone, Katie Forsyth, and Courtney Kuranek. Let's give a warm round of applause to all those people that have made it possible today. Again, congratulations to all of our winners, and thank you to those people who took the time to go through the process of nominating them. Thank you again for being here to celebrate the achievements of women in our collective community here at Washington State University and beyond. If you are interested in joining the President's Commission on the Status of Women, there is a QR code on your table You may scan that to get to a website that will give you more information. You can also snag that paper as long as you don't have to arm wrestle your neighbors to get it. We have enough to share. And that concludes our ceremony. Thank you again, everyone, for being here in celebration.